Welcome to Tradecraft's educational video on cybersecurity best practices. Today, I want to discuss how to prevent email spoofing using SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records in your DNS settings. Email spoofing is a major problem for firms, and it is a problem we see very frequently. Email spoofing can result in reputational damage, financial losses through unauthorized payments or identity theft, data breaches and intellectual property theft, as well as compliance violations and operational disruptions due to blocked or marked as spam legitimate emails. Implementing email authentication measures like SPF, DKIM, and DMARC can help mitigate these risks and prevent attackers from spoofing your firm's email addresses. But first, let's understand what these three terms mean and where they are stored. If you use email with your own domain, a lot of the burden of email authenticity has suddenly shifted from your service provider to you. This guide will hopefully give you the information and practices you need to keep your domain's email authentic and less vulnerable to spoofing. So where do you edit these records for your email server? To store and edit these records, the domain owner or administrator typically accesses the DNS management interface provided by their domain registrar or DNS hosting provider. They can then create, modify, or delete the necessary records to configure the desired functionality for the domain. In this screenshot behind me, you can see an example of what this screen would look like if you use Google domains. GoDaddy, HostGator, and others will have their own portals for these settings. Once the records are stored in the domain's DNS, they are propagated across the Internet's DNS infrastructure, allowing other systems to query and retrieve the required information when interacting with the domain. Properly managing and updating these records is essential to ensure the correct functioning and security of the domain's services. First, let's start with SPF, or the Sender Policy Framework. It is an email authentication method that allows the receiving mail server to verify if the sender is authorized to send emails on behalf of a domain. By publishing SPF records in the domain's DNS settings, organizations can specify which IP addresses or servers are authorized to send emails for their domain. When an email is sent, the receiving mail server first checks the SPF record to see if the sending server is authorized. If the SPF check passes, the server proceeds to verify the DKIM signature. Then we have DKIM, which stands for Domain Keys Identified Mail. DKIM adds a digital signature to each outgoing email, verifying its authenticity and integrity. This signature is created using cryptographic keys that are stored on the sending server. When the receiving mail server receives the email, it uses the public key from the DNS to validate the signature, ensuring that the email hasn't been tampered with during transit. If both SPF and DKIM checks pass, the email is considered authentic and is delivered to the recipient's inbox. However, if either the SPF or DKIM check fails, the receiving server consults the DMARC policy to determine the next course of action. Lastly, we have DMARC, which stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. DMARC builds upon SPF and DKIM to provide an additional layer of protection against email spoofing. With DMARC, organizations can define policies that instruct receiving mail servers on how to handle emails that fail SPF or DKIM checks. Organizations can choose to quarantine or reject such emails, protecting both themselves and their recipients from malicious activities. By implementing SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, organizations can significantly reduce the risk of email spoofing and protect their sensitive information. Thank you for watching this video from Tradecraft. For more information and personalized consultancy services, please visit our website or contact us directly.